So we will just see what did we discuss in the last lecture. So this lecture is the applications unit 5, which is the applications of composite materials. The lecture was started with the discussion about the introduction to the composites and what applications the composites are used, like aircraft, space, automotives, sporting goods, marine infrastructure, and then medical. We have seen the different industries which involve with the composite materials. Then it was we discussed about the aircraft components, that is the aerospace applications of composites we have discussed in detail. Then after that, our discussion was on the sports application. So about sports application, sports is one of the application where the composite materials are used. So if you see this fiber reinforced composites or polymers, they are extensively used in the sporting goods. In which applications it is used? It is used in plenty of applications like you can see there is a big list from tennis rackets, racquetball rackets to golf club shafts and up to athletic shoes. There are plenty of applications that is using the composite materials. Traditionally, the materials used were based on the wood, metal, and then the leather. But if you see what is the advantage of using this FRC in the sports application, the main thing is the weight reduction, then vibration damping, and then the design flexibility. This we have discussed. And how you achieve the weight reduction if you use a composite material in applications like tennis rackets or pole vault or say snow skies, you can get the weight reduction. You can use the carbon or boron or glass fiber reinforced epoxy for the tennis rackets, so that what will happen when the person is playing a tennis racket, he can do the better service if he can move the bat at a very high speed and quickly he can turn around. The maneuvering is good, and those materials are made up of the sandwich constructions of the carbon or boron or glass. Okay, but if you see for the applications like snow sky applications, which are used for in the places where there is a skating, for the snow skating, in those places the materials have two layers. One is the skin and another is the core material. The skin material, it contains the composites, and the core material contains the soft, lightweight urethane foam, which is the polyurethane foam. So that what will happen, the material will be stiff and also it will give some soft also. It will be soft and lightweight. So that is the advantage that we have seen. And in the tennis rackets, what is the advantage if you use a composite based tennis rackets? If you see, if a tennis racket is made up of a composite material, and when the person is playing the tennis, the if he uses some wood or a leather like material or even say metal, when he play play during the playing of the tennis, when he do the service, what will happen, his arm will get higher shock. The shock which is occurring in the arm will be higher, so that is called the vibration. So this vibration damping, it is uh, it is actually vibration damping is very good in the when you use the composite materials. So that what will happen when the person is playing this tennis racket, he will get better feel in the arm. Okay, the better feel for the ball is possible. Okay, so these things are important. For example, in exam, if some questions come like why we need to use this FRC material, what is the advantage of that in the tennis racket? So for that you should be able to answer. Okay, so that is the thing. And if you see this, the picture of the snow skies, which is used under the leg for the during the places where there is a snow skating. And Next application which we discussed is the archery bows and pole vault poles. If you see, this archery bows also uses this composite materials. In the olden days, before the advent of composites, people were using wooden type of a archery bows. But in wood, you will have a good stiffness. But the problem is, since this is a material which you require you need to store the higher elastic energy per unit weight. That is the reason why the composite material is advantageous to use. If you use a composite material, what happens? It can store more elastic energy per unit weight. So that if it stores more elastic energy, if you pull it, what will happen? It will store the energy, and once you release it, it will make the bow, it will make the arrow to move at a very higher distance. The arrow will propel to a very higher distance. And similarly for the pole vault application also, the reason for using the composite material is composite material, though it has a very high stiffness to weight ratio, it is helps this high stiffness to weight ratio helps to store the elastic energy per unit weight. That is a great advantage which you need to know. Okay, so because of that, what will happen if the person is doing the pole vaulting, that will just bend and it will store the elastic energy, and once it is released, it will once it is unbent, then what will happen? The person will move to a very higher distance because of the release of the elastic energy. So this is possible when he use a material made up of a fiber reinforced composites. So that is why this uh, applications use this uh, composite materials. And the next is the bicycles is one of the popular type of sports where these composite materials are used. And here the main requirement is the two things. One is the weight reduction and another is the vibration damping. So if you see here the bicycle frames, especially for the racing bikes, they use this carbon fiber epoxy type of a tubes and fitted together by the titanium fittings and inserts. You know very well, titanium is also a popular metal which is used in the composite application. And the main reason for using this CFRP, which is the carbon fiber reinforced polymers, is to reduce the weight. That is the conventional cycle, which is made up of a metal, which is very high weight, maybe more than 9-10 kgs, that gets reduced to 1.1 kgs because of using the composite materials. Okay, so this is the thing. There are many components in the cycle that like handlebar, fork, seat post, and others. They use this CFRP. And the thing is, which I have already told you, the carbon fibers is an excellent fiber for these applications. But the problem with the carbon fibers is it is costlier. Okay, that is why it is normally when carbon fibers are used, in order to reduce the cost, it is mixed with other fibers like aramids or glass fibers. Okay, and if you see next application which we discussed is the golf clubs. These golf clubs are made up of the CFRP, that is the carbon fiber reinforced epoxy resin. And here also the main requirement is to reduce the weight. Okay, because the conventional steel shafts have a very high weight and the composites lead to the higher weight reduction. The average weight of a composite golf shaft is around 65 to 70 grams when compared to the 115 to 125 gram for the steel shafts. So that what will happen if the person is using the golf club shaft, which is made up of a composite material, that can make a higher swing and longer drive. So that is the reason why this uh, golf club shafts are made up of composite materials. And pole vaults we have already seen. The main thing why we use this composites here is because of the uh, high strain energy storage capacity. That is, it can store more elastic energy. Okay, so that we have already seen. And the important requirement is when the pole is bent to store energy, it should not show any plastic deformation. That is also very important, and it should not fracture. So that is the reason here when you use a material which is very stiff, in that kind of a situation, what will happen? It may lead to breakage. Like for example, if you are using a ceramic based material do not show the pronounced plastic deformation. If you see the stress strain curves of these fibers which are used, high performance fibers, these fibers uh, should not deform plastically. Once it deforms plastically, what will happen? It will not come back to its original position. That is, only till the Hookean region you will get the recovery. But once it crosses the Hookean region, it will not again regain back to the original position. So that is important, and it should not fracture. Okay, so the requirement in the pole vault or even the archery bows is it should able to strain, it should able to store more energy, it should be able to store the elastic energy when it is stretched, and once it is released, it should be able to propel the athlete to a very higher distance. So that is the requirement that we have already discussed. Okay, so if you see the elastic limit of this glass fiber reinforced epoxy, it is much higher than the wood or high strength aluminum alloys. Those materials are not that kind of elastic in nature. And if you see, when this glass fiber reinforced epoxy poles are used, the stored energy is high enough to clear 6-meter distance, okay, or some greater height in the pole vaulting. Because during the pole vaulting, how much distance the person is would go, that is decides the uh, victory. Okay, so that is the thing. So for this, a more elastic type of a material is used. That is why the glass fiber reinforced epoxy is used. But if you use a carbon fiber reinforced epoxy, that is not recommended for pole vault, because carbon fiber, you know very well, it is a highly stiff fiber. Okay, so that if you see the stress strain curve of the carbon fiber, you can understand it will not give a pronounced uh, elastic behavior. So that is why uh, it is not recommended to be used in the pole vault. And also carbon fiber, once the higher stress is given, it will just fracture. That is, when you do the higher bending, when the pole vault is bent, that will lead to fracture. So that is why carbon fiber reinforced epoxy is not used for the pole vault. Mostly this glass fiber reinforced epoxy, it is used because the elastic limit is higher. Okay, these things you can see from the stress strain curve. When after the class, if you go on to check about the glass, carbon, aramid, and other type of materials, if you see the stress strain curve, you can understand which material you have to use for which application. That is actually the correct way for a textile engineer or a composite engineer to decide how to design a material for the particular application. And if you see fishing rod, it is also one of the important sporting application, because fishing, it is not only used for sports but also for the conventional fishing. Also, these fishing rods are required, and for these fishing rods, the glass, carbon, these are the common materials used, and also the traditional materials like bamboo is also used. And for here, this fishing rod application, uh, you can use the carbon fiber reinforced epoxy, because it produces only a smaller tip deflection. It will not deflect more because of the higher modulus, and also it gives a wobble free action. Means wobble free means it will give a very steady action. It will not just become unsteady. It will give a very steady action when the person is just throwing the fishing rod to catch the fish. Okay, so here the carbon fiber reinforced epoxy can be used, and here it is not required to store the elastic energy and release it, because it is not a that kind of a sport application. Okay, so here the main requirement is the material should be stiff, it should have a higher strength, and importantly, it should also dampen the vibration. Okay, so that when the fishing rod is thrown on the sea, it should reduce the vibration, so that it should transmit the waves along the fly line. Okay, and also if you see when the person is casting means nothing but when you catch the fish, that particular thing is called as the casting. So that it will be longer, quieter. The more distance you can throw the fishing line, and the person who is catching the fish, he is called the angler, and the angler have a better feel for the catch. Okay, and you see the carbon fiber reinforced rods, they recover their original shape because the deflection which is taking place is very small. Okay, and also the weight of the fishing rod is also very less, only 37 grams, and the lightness of these rods is also a desirable feature to the anglers. So this is the one which this is how the fishing rods look like. And if you see the current scenario of the sports composite market, it is expected to reach 3.75 billion US dollars in this current year 2021, and there is a higher CAGR, which is the compound annual growth rate. From in every year there is a higher growth from 5.59 percentage, and you see the sports composite market is rapidly gaining importance, but few factors also act as a bottleneck towards its growth. What is the bottleneck? The bottleneck is the high cost of carbon fiber and the impact of change in the climatic conditions on the winter sports equipment market, and no major research and technological advancements are the major restraints towards the growth of the composite market. When you compare with the applications of aerospace and compare with the sports, we do not have that much of sports related research going on actually. And also the cost of the carbon fibers, these things are the bottlenecks. So that is the reason why there is no great technological development that has taken place. But still, there are many companies globally, they produce sports composites. What are they? Aldila Inc., Amer Sports, DuPont, Dean Nemours and Company, Fisher Sports GmbH, Hexicon Inc., Jordan Corporation, Tofke Corporation, Toro Industries. These are companies who actually deal with the sports composite. Among them, the Amara Sports, the second one which is shown here, it is one of the popular company who are more into this sports composites. You can see their websites and see what products they produce for your interest. Okay, so this is what we have discussed in detail in the last lecture. So today what we will do is we will just move on to the next type of application, which is the automotive application. So automotive is one of the important sector that uses these composite materials. And automotives, in a sense, there are many automotives are there, like cars, buses, trams, many applications are there. And here the discussion about the automotive applications, we are mainly restricting to the car application. So if you see, just a minute, there is a phone call. Just a minute, that's an important phone call. Sorry. So if you see the automotive applications, we are going to mainly discuss about the basic important transport, which is the car. And if you see in the automotive industry, whether you are using any vehicle, whether it is a car or a bus or even a jeep, whichever type of a transport, automotives, those automotives have mainly three components. They are classified into three groups. What is called the body component, another is called the chassis component, and another is called the engine components. If you just see an important automotive, which is the car, you can see there are different components and what are the materials it is made up of. You can see this is the hood, which you know very well. This hood is made up of aluminum in a normal car, and this this is the engine cradle, and this is the bumper fascia, which is a plastic material, you can see, and this is called the fender. This fender, it is made up of mild or baked hardened steels, and here at the top, which is the sunroof, which is made up of a polycarbonate type of a material, and the roof is made up of a mild steel, and deck lid, it is made up of mild steel, and here you can see the floor, which is placed here, that is the internal inside the car, which is again a steel, and here the pillar, which you can see here, this pillar is also made up of a steel. And if you see, there are two type of a steel. One is a HSLA and AHSS. HSLA means high strength low alloy steel, and AHSS means advanced high strength steel. So if you see this complete components of the cars used, mostly it is made up of a steel. Okay, so this is the basic structure of the what are the different components in the car. And if you see in the car, the main target is the weight reduction. We need to replace the conventional metals to, like steel. Though there are many steel materials are used more nowadays, there is a more research into composites, and the composite materials are used in the car. So where the composite materials are used, that we are going to see. So as we have already seen, there are three important categories. One is the body component, chassis component, and engine component. So here, if you see in the body component, first we will see the exterior body component, that is which is outside. So body component, in the sense, what are the body components? That is hood or door panels. These are the exterior body components. You can see in this picture for your understanding. This is the hood, okay, and this is the door panel, okay. So this hood or door panel, what is the expectation from this? What is the important requirement from this hood or door panel? We require high stiffness and damage tolerance, that is dent resistance. If any kind of a material is impacted on it, it should not form any dent, and also it should have a very smooth finish, like a class A type of a surface finish is required. This is the expectation from the exterior body components. But if you see, the composite materials can also be used in these components. That is, you can use materials like e-glass fiber reinforced SMC. Okay, what is SMC? Which is the sheet molding components, which you know very well how the sheet molding components are produced, in which the discontinuous glass fibers of smaller lengths, or 25 millimeter lengths, these are dispersed in the polyester or vinyl ester resin to make these sheets. You know very well how the SMC is composites are manufactured using the compression molding process. I need not explain you again. And if you see in these applications, e-glass fiber, it is used instead of the carbon fiber for the door or hood panels. And if you see this design requirements for the exterior body panels is the smooth finish. That is also one of the important. By appearance wise, it should look very smooth, and also it should be dent resistant. But if you see the smoothness whichever you get from the metal, that is not possible not that much easy to be obtained when you use the compression molded SMC. Okay, if you see the composite materials, the surface finish which you see in the metal with a higher shining, that you may not get in the compression molded SMC. Okay, so for that, what you require? You require a separate coating. An in mold coating is required of the exterior molded surface with a flexible resin, so that you will get a smooth finish. Because composites, by as such, it is not that much of a smooth surface you may not get. So for that, you require a mild mold coating of the exterior molded surface with a flexible type of a resin. Okay, so that is the thing. And if you see, there are many underbody and the underhood components in which the external appearance is not critical. Why the external appearance? Why it is important? Because people, when they purchase a car, they first thing what they see is the appearance. The appearance is the first attraction. First people see and then get attracted towards the material when they purchase a car. So they, especially for the important exterior components which is visible to the eyes, that should have the smooth appearance. Okay, then only the people will feel, okay, it is looking good and it is smooth in surface, so we can buy this. But if the surface is not smooth, it is looking a little rough and not smooth, in that case it will not provide the attraction. Okay, so for that, especially to the main body and the components and the door components, this surface finish is very critical. For that, you need to do the in mold coating. But for the body and hood components which are not external, that is the components which are not visible to the person, like a radiator support, bumper beams, roof frames, door frames, engine valve covers, timing chain covers, oil pan. These are internally, most of the components mentioned in this, these are placed internally. So for these applications, you can use the composite materials, provided if it is fulfilling the requirements of that particular component. Okay, but for external appearances, definitely the SMC composites can be used, provided you do the outside coating. Okay, so that is the thing. And this is the picture of one of the compression molded trunk. This is the SMC trunk of the Cadillac Solstice. This is one of the car, and you can see this is the compression molded SMC trunk, which is a composite material. Okay, so it will, by appearance wise, you can see it will look like a metal material, but it is actually a composite material. And there are other components also. This is the compression molded SMC valve cover, which we have just seen in this discussion. The valve covers, okay, there is the engine valve cover, there is the covering of the engine. This can also be made up of a composite material for the truck engine. Okay, so if you see, this SMC is one of the important application in the composites, and they have seen a large growth in the automotive sector over the last 25 years, and it is used for manufacturing small and large components. What are the small and large components? Hoods, big boxes, deck lids, doors, fenders, spoilers, light trucks, and heavy trucks. This SMC is used. And what is the advantage of this, using this SMC in the automotive composites? The main component, the main advantage, which is very obvious, which is the weight reduction, but also the lower tooling cost and parts integration. So this is also advantages. The tooling cost involved is very less when you assemble these materials to make a car. And also you see how much is the reduction in the tooling cost. You can see the tooling cost for this compression molded sheet molding compounds, they can be 40 to 60% lower than the stamping steel parts. You normally do the stamping process to make these steel parts. When you assemble them, do some welding, molding type of a thing, but here you do not require those things. Okay, and this parts integration can be found in the radiator supports, in the which the SMC is used as a substitution for the low carbon steel. And you see, radiator you know very well what is meant by a radiator. This composite radiator, it is typically made up of two SMC parts bonded together by a adhesive instead of the 20 or more steel parts assembled together by a number of screws. So this is why you use the composites. Okay, so if you make for the radiator support, if you want to use the composite materials, in that case you can take some two SMC parts and then just bond them together by an adhesive, so that your purpose is served. But whereas when you use a steel, in that case you require 20 or more steel parts to make that radiator support. Okay, so for the radiator support also is one of the application which involves the use of composites, and it is made up of a randomly oriented discontinuous e-glass fiber reinforced vinyl esters. Okay, so this is one of the application, and another application you can see in the station wagon tailgate assembly. This is one of the transport, which is the car station wagon. You can see in this particular station wagon tailgate assembly, they have a significant load bearing requirements in the open position. This composite tailgate consists of only two parts. One is an outer SMC shell and inner reinforcing SMC piece. They are bonded together by the adhesive. So what is the use of this particular SMC? When you use just two SMC and then bind them with an adhesive, so that what advantage you get? As I have told you, it is the weight reduction. So the composite tailgate, it replaces the 7-piece steel tailgate assembly. Okay, if you use a composite, the 1/3 of the weight gets reduced, so that the 7-piece steel gate assembly, instead of using that, you can use just a 2-piece SMC material. Okay, so that is the advantage why we use this SMC material in the radiators. In the car radiators, this can be radiator supports, this can be used. That is where the material for both the outer shell and the inner reinforcement, it is made up of the randomly oriented discontinuous e-glass fiber reinforced polyester. So this also can be used. Okay, so there are many advantages. And the next thing is the chassis component. You know very well, the chassis is something which is present inside, where you may have seen in the two-wheelers also the chassis number. Normally when you want to see what is the engine number, what is the chassis number, some numbers are engraved in the two-wheelers and even the four-wheelers. And the chassis is one of the important component where this composites can be used, which is not visible when you see. Okay, it is under the car. Okay, so this chassis component, one of the important component for this chassis is the Corvette rear leaf spring. Okay, what is this Corvette rear leaf spring? You may have heard what is meant by a leaf spring. To see a transport, you can understand them. I will just show you a small picture which is showing this leaf spring. This is the leaf spring. You can see here the bottom one, which is a support. Okay, this support, it will not allow the vehicle to move to a higher distance. You can see when it is in the vehicle, it's moving very fast. There is a support which is placed connecting between the two wheels. You can see here, this is the leaf spring. You can see here there are different leaf springs. Okay, like a conventionally multi-layered leaf spring, and this is the improved multi-layered leaf spring, consists of many layers of plastics, so that it can decide up to what for example, if the car is moving at a higher speed, this leaf spring actually gives the support to the vehicle, and also this leaf spring also prevents the shock, that is the vibration, when there is any bump or anything is there, that time the shock absorption, it is done by the leaf springs. This leaf spring is a chassis component, and this is first introduced by the Unileaf e-glass fiber reinforced epoxy springs. In the olden days, people were using the multi-steel springs. You know very well, steel is elastic. So this elastic material steel, multi-leaf steel springs were used, but because of that the weights were higher. So this was replaced with the Unileaf E-glass fiber reinforced epoxy springs. So this had a 80% weight reduction when compared to the conventional steel springs. Okay, and if you see, there are other chassis components also. Leaf spring is one of the application which I have told you. There are other structural chassis applications, that is the drive shafts and the road wheels. So these also have been successfully tested in the laboratories and providing grounds for development of the composites. Okay, but they are used in the very limited quantities in the production vehicles, and they offer opportunities for substantial weight savings. But the problem in using the replacing these materials with the leaf spring or other chassis components is you will get the weight reduction, but the cost wise it is not that effective when compared to the steel counterparts. So that is the thing, and this is how the leaf springs looks like. Okay, so that is the thing, and the next is the engine components. So engine component is one of the applications where this fiber reinforced composites have been used. But the thing is, in the engine components, it is not that much successful when compared with the body or chassis components. The problem is the fatigue loads at very high temperatures possess the greatest challenge in these applications. So, for example, during when you see the engine components, the temperature is very high. So that time with the temperature along with the higher load, that will lead to the problem of fatigue. So it will get fatigue. The fatigue resistance should be much higher in those kind of situation. So for those situations, if you use fibers like a glass or a carbon, for example, glass or some other fibers, what will happen? You may not glass fibers, you may not get the higher fatigue resistance, but carbon you will get the higher fatigue resistance. But still the temperature uh, at the both the load at the higher temperature, this is a challenge. So that is why the in order to use these composites in these engine components, uh, we need to use a very high temperature resistant type of a polymers, as well as the metal or ceramic matrix composites, because metal matrix and ceramic matrix composites have a higher temperature resistance. They have the great potential of composites in this particular area. Okay, that is why in the engine components it is not that much popular where the composites have entered much. Okay, some research is still going on. So if you see the composites materials for the for the automotive sector, it is very popular and it is significantly different. The manufacturing and design of this FRC composite materials for this automotive application, they are significantly different from the aircraft application. Okay, aircraft application is something which is very specific and where it is separate sector that is different. But whereas here it is not like that, because here in the automotive sector, which is produced more, the quantity which is required to be produced is more. Okay, because the volume of production is very higher in this sector. Okay, for example, if you see if you want to make manufacture the automotive composites, these composites 100 to 200 pieces per hour for composites per hour of automotive composites components can be produced when compared to the few hundred pieces per year of the aircraft components. Because aircraft components we do not produce more. Okay, we produce very less because those are the high end applications. But automotives are used by plenty of people. So for that you require a higher production rate. Okay, so for that there are different processes are there. You can use the labor intensive hand layer process, which is a non-automated process, and you can also use the other processes like compression molding, structural reaction injection molding. These type of a molding process have emerged as the principal manufacturing process for the automotive components. Okay, you see, if you see the SRIM, which is the structural reaction injection molding, if you remember, what did we do? We use this highly reactive resins, which cures, which has a very higher fast curing, so that you very quickly you produce the composite materials. So that kind of applications we have seen. So those quickly producing composite process with all the requirements, that is much advantageous when compared to the very slowly producing components, because here this is a frequently used and used by more people. This sector, it is not just the very rarely used kind of a thing. We use it frequently, these automotives. So this requires a higher volume production at a very less time. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so there are other things also to be discussed, which we will see in the next lecture. We will discuss the continuation of this automotive applications. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we can stop here for today. Any doubts?